Hi.
Hey, how you doing, superstar?
Yeah.
So listen, I was reading something, and this is why I always ask people when they tell me about their business or their lack of business. My first question is, what are you reading this week? Because I can tell by their languaging that they're probably not reading anything. I can tell by their energy that they're not plugging into that constant power source as it pertains to their mindset and what they're putting out. And I used to think that I think a lot of us will go through a roller coaster when it comes to personal development. And if any of you remember when you first got exposed to personal development, it was like the kid with a brand new toy. You got a brand new bike, and you're like, look at me on my bike. And you just felt like you were a boss on your brand new bike, right? And then at some point, the bike becomes common, and you don't appreciate it the same way. You start leaving it out. You don't use the kickstand anymore. You just leave it, down on the ground. And with personal development, when you get first exposed to it, it elevates you because you feel it, it's new. And then you want to go around and share quotes and talk about positivity, and you want other people to feel the way that you feel as a result of the personal development. And then after a while, you don't appreciate it the same way. You don't have the same joy and vigor and desperation for it like you used to, because now you think you think because you read a few books and you've gone to a couple of events, you think and you stop doing the very things that got you high in the first place. And so you take it for granted, and you go back to your life and you're wanting different results, but you're not willing to do the work. Or even worse, you take some hits. You're going to take some blows in life, and you allow those blows you internalize it, and you're like, well, fuck all that personal development, man. Like, I'm going through some stuff right now. I ain't got time to be reading no book. I'm trying to pay my bills. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. And you go negative because that's being real, right? So people get out of touch with it. So when I'm talking to people on the phone and I'm asking them about where they're at in their business, it's like, okay, this person's probably not working on this. You might be doing the activity, but you're not going to do the activity from the right space if you're not working on this. And it's something that we can't ever do enough of. There's never going to be a moment. I do personal development differently now because I have read literally hundreds of books, and I have a partial library here. You see it sometimes when I'm doing my lives and my videos. But my library is ginormous. I don't even have all of my books up. And I don't sit down and read like I used to read, in terms of like reading a book cover to cover, because I've read so many of them. So what I focus on now is really internalizing the content so that it becomes a part of my who am I. So when I read a book now, typically it's something I've read before multiple times, and I'm wanting to incorporate that into the fabric of who I am, my DNA. In the midst of challenges and difficulties and all of that, I don't just do personal development when things are going great. I especially do it when things are not. When things are not moving the way I want them to move, when my business is not going as fast as I want it to go, that's when I'm in personal development. So I see people, they get off track because they allow themselves to be distracted by life, and now you're like everybody else. Now you're no longer a leader, you're a follower, and you're following the wrong people. I was having a conversation. Jamar, do me a favor. I want you to share what took place, where you were at mentally before you and I got on the phone, and tell them where you were at by the time you and I got off the phone.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
So, I mean, you actually hit on it. Before we got on the call, before you called me, I guess I was at a stale point because I personally felt that I was doing what I needed to do as far as my commitment, as far as like sending out the advertisements and stuff like that. But I wasn't getting any results, like positive results that I was looking for. So I guess you could say I was in a stale moment as far as how I felt. And then when you called me, it was just like out of the blue. And then you said, let's get your list and make some calls. And that was totally out of the blue. So um, I guess after the third call, I kind of felt a little more confident in what I was doing as far as how to talk to people and how to just basically have a normal conversation and stuff like that, as opposed to calling them. Because like when I call somebody before what we done today, my goal is to talk to them about why I'm calling. Like I know you said that you're supposed to do the form as far as how you doing, how's the family type of stuff like that. But my goal was, hey, this is why I'm calling, and that's not really the way to do it. I listened to how you was interacting with people, and it was just a normal conversation like you would have with somebody, not telling them about your business. So I guess it made me feel a little bit more comfortable in how to have the conversation going forward. So after the third call, I felt a little more confident as far as calling people, and I actually did after we got off the phone. So
The three, I think there was three conversations that we had. Was there any outcome that wasn't favorable for us?
yeah, I think it was the girl that we spoke to, and before she even got a presentation or anything, she told us straight up front, no, she wasn't interested,
Right,
and
but what was the outcome?
we got some referrals.
I know, but what did she say though, specifically?
She said that she didn't have the time, and you asked her, was she time broke, and she said no, she just didn't have the time because of her business and some other stuff that she had going on.
Right, but then she said, I can be the referral girl. You remember when she said
Right,
that?
right, exactly, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, now when I asked you what you were reading, what did you say to me?
I wasn't reading anything.
Okay, thank you for your honesty and for allowing me to kind of have an open conversation with the whole team, the team that's here. So listen, this is my point. This is what people do. Jamar wants to be successful in his business. He wants to, he's got a daughter, Kayla, who's 8 months old. He wants to be able to make a way for her and his family. So he's doing the activity, but he's doing external activity. He's not doing the internal work. You can do all the external work that you want, but if you don't have the internal work going, you're not going to get any results. It won't work. It doesn't matter how. Now, if he's doing like 100 calls a day, he will get some results from that for sure. No matter how negative he is, you can't help but get results if you're talking to that many people a day. But Jamar told me at this point he's doing about 8 exposures a week. Okay, it's not. He will never get results from that with that attitude, that mindset. So he's isolated himself. He's in the toilet bowl flush because he's not getting the results he wants. And I said to him, "You sound to me," I said your problem is your spirit, your energy. You sound like you're broken." He's like, "Yeah, I'm feeling kind of low." I can't remember the exact word I used, but so he's in that space. That's his atmosphere. And he doesn't think to pick up the phone and call me and say, "Hey, can we make some calls together?" He doesn't think to do that. Why? Because it's human nature to try to figure everything out on our own. That's human nature, is what we do. So he's surrounding himself with the worst possible thinking that you could be surrounding yourself with because he's talking to him and nobody else. How in the hell does he expect to ever get any results in his business like that? He'll never grow. It doesn't matter how long he stays in that boomerang. If that is his method, his strategy, he will not get results, period. So when we have the conversation, he plugs into some elevated energy and some elevated thinking as it pertains to the business. And then we do it together. So I walk him through it. He hears me talking and he's like, oh, I got it. And he says to himself, that makes sense. I can do that. He's hearing the responses from the other prospects that I don't know from Adam, but they're doing what we want them to do. And so that's why it's so important that we constantly work on ourselves and that we surround ourselves and plug into other thinking that is elevated. What is my point to this story? The leadership that we have access to, it's a very different level than probably all of you have ever been exposed to or experienced. It's a completely different level. I have never even heard of anything like this going on from a leadership standpoint in terms of what you get access to. Once you hit Sapphire, your access changes, and you get to have conversations that you're just not going to get to have until then. But the conversations are worth you just having a first class membership and you never enroll a soul. That those conversations by themselves are worth so much more than what it costs to be a first class member. And you're not building a business at all. Okay, I'm just letting you. I want you to be very clear on that. So we have to have that interaction with our team. If you're talking to your teammates and you're wanting to see, okay, who wants to move, who doesn't, right? You got to identify who's who. And then once you're clear on that, give them a track to run on. So the 422, okay, write these numbers down, 422. So 422 meaning if you're committed to generating full-time income, here's what you do. You do 4 presentations a week. You commit to enroll 2 people a month, and you commit to get 2 to 3 people registered for the next event. Now, here's what I wanted to share with everyone here. I didn't tell you all individually. When you do a presentation, the magic number is 5 and then 1,000, okay? The magic number is 5, which leads to 1,000. If you get 5 qualified prospects on each presentation that you do, you're going to increase your volume by at least 1,000 every week, okay? Every week. That's the formula that Holton Bugs gave to me. 5 qualified prospects on each presentation, you're going to get a minimum of 1,000 in volume every week. So that means we're doing 4 presentations on our own. We're not promoting those. So, and I got to put the schedule out. I forgot to do it. I'll do it after the call. So when we have the schedule, you'll see 8 o'clock, it'll be one of our presenters, myself or Aurea or Erica Lee or Kristen Cruz. It'll be one of our presenters. And then we'll go to the 9 o'clock press, which is by a diamond or above. And then I will highlight the Spanish presentation at 10 o'clock for those of you that have Spanish speaking markets that you're tapping into. So those are the ones that we present and then that we promote. And then the 1 o'clock presentation, that's with the diamond too. It takes 2. So as long as we have, so that's 4 presentations every day that we can plug into, okay? We're committed to that. That's not going to change. So you know that every day you got 4 presentations that you can promote and blow up. But the 4 presentations are what each of us do individually. I don't promote those because I'm focusing on my prospects. I'm focusing on getting nothing but prospects on the call. I don't need team members on that call. I need prospects on that call, okay? The team members can all come out for the 8 o'clock presentation that we do because we're going to do it every night. So again, if you don't need the presentation needs you. You can come, bring your prospects to that 8 o'clock presentation, come and support, come and share your story. Most of you have been to 1 or 2 of the major events that we've had so far, national events, and then we had a regional. So you can share from that vantage point. You can share a success story. You can share a saving money story, what have you. So we have all of that structure. And so that's what's in place. But the 4 presentations that we do, we each have a goal to get 5 prospects on each one. We commit to enroll 2 people a month, and then we commit to get 2 to 3 people registered for the next event with the $50 discount that all new enrollees get at the time of enrollment. That's easy. Like that's easy peasy. All right, $50. You're not going to get a better price than that. And then it's way out. It's not till the end of August, so we got plenty of time to get that done. So let me get to the point of this call. Not that those things were not important. So Holton Bugs had a leadership call for Sapphires and Above this morning. And he was talking about some things that I can't share, but I identified the things that I could. And one of the things that I could share was he talked about what's happening, right? So I think some of you, we may have talked about this on the Sunday call. Maybe you've talked about it amongst yourselves. But obviously, when you're in a situation that affects everyone in the world, there's great opportunity in that space. historically, when you look at some of the most successful companies, they were born in the midst of great challenge and opposition, whether it was the Depression, the Great Depression, excuse me, of the 20s, economic turndowns, whatever that circumstance was, you will find that a lot of companies were birthed out of that darkness, if you will. Darkness comes before the light. If you make a conscious decision to be part of the solution every time you post, every time someone interacts with you, if you come to the equation with a positive mental attitude at all times, when people interact with you, they're going to have something that is completely different than what everybody else is doing. I heard somebody very successful say this many, many years ago. If you want to be really, really successful in life, look at what everybody else is doing and make sure that you do the exact opposite. So when everybody else is zigging, we zag. That's what leadership is. That's the thermostat versus the thermometer. You want to be the thermostat. We set the temperature as leaders. I'm not following other people. You see, I'm highlighting what Jamar and I talked about. I'm not picking on him. When he was in his feelings about not getting a certain result, what he was doing was he was reacting to what somebody else did or didn't do. He was a thermometer in that moment. He didn't recognize it because he was only talking to himself. When he got some outside perspective, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame, as Mr. Brown always says. He got some outside perspective. He was like, oh, you're right. I can't be a thermometer to the people that I'm calling, because the majority of people that I'm calling, they're just like everybody else. They're in that 98% pool. And they're inherently negative. They're inherently pessimistic. They're inherently weak. They need strength. So when someone encounters me or you as a leader in a conversation, we're prospecting, we're calling about the opportunity, they're going to encounter positivity. They're going to encounter hope. They're going to encounter good news. They're going to encounter method. They're going to encounter a strategy to get out of this situation, to overcome this situation. So one of the things that Mr. Bucks talked about was, he said, and he shared this on one of the weekly flight school calls. He talked about this group that he's a member of, that he had to pay a lot of money to be a part of. There are billionaires in this group. There are millionaires in this group. And each of them, like Mr. Bugs himself, has a lot of success in their particular path, and they come together, they mastermind. And what they were sharing was the opportunities that they're seizing as a result of what's happening right now in the world. A couple of examples. So we're seeing people now who were prepared because they took care of the money part of their life a while ago. So they're not even breaking a sweat right now. They're literally, doing business from home, but they're spending a lot more time hanging out with their families, and they're chilling because the money part is done. The majority of people are not in that space. They're scrambling. They're feeling the pressure. Well, here's what Mr. Bucks talked about. He said, well, listen, there may be some people that you haven't made certain phone calls. Get on the phone and call. If any of you have credit card debt, get on the phone and say, listen, I'm going to need a 3-month deferment. Or you can lower my interest rate, to 2%. Like either one, give me one of those two, because of the hardship. Because everybody, they would much rather keep you as a customer than lose you. That so they don't really have any leverage. You have all the leverage right now. He talked about people that were calling their banks and saying, I need 3 months on my deferment for my mortgage. Can't pay it for 3 months. No problem. Done. He talked about billionaires in his circle who have the money. They got the money, but they were like, why would I use my own money when I don't have to? I've been paying into this system. I've been paying into the system with taxes for years. And the reason the government is able to have a $2 trillion stimulus package is because all of us have been paying into that tax pool for years. The government is not a profit organization. They don't produce or create anything. They're just taking our money and giving it back to us. It's your money. So he was talking about that and how it's important that you seize every aspect that you can seize, because we're business people. We are entrepreneurs who go out and we risk every day to bring value to the marketplace. We're the ones that are stimulating the economy. There's a reason why 3% of the population is responsible for over 90% of the wealth. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're stimulating the economy when you're hiring help, people that do the yard, people that come and clean the house, the people that nanny the kids, the people that wash the cars and wax the cars and come to your house. We're stimulating the economy. We're providing jobs and employment opportunities because we're the ones taking the risk. So I just got off the phone with the IRS because I paid thousands and thousands of dollars over in taxes over the last 5 years. I didn't know that I was overpaying. I had no clue. But it's my money. Like, they got my money. I'm like, when you gonna give me my money? Y'all owe me a lot of money. When you give me my money. So what he was saying and the perspective on it, it almost seemed like, yeah, I should know that. And some of it I knew, but it was just different when he was breaking it down. He was talking about billionaires going to banks and getting a loan. He talked about iBoomerang has zero debt, none. We owe nothing to no one. But iBoomerang, because we're in the travel space, because we have travel as the front door, we're able to, they're giving out loans at like virtually no interest, and you got 30 years to pay it off. And so he was thinking, well, man, I could take advantage of that, and then what could I do to add more value to the company? As a business perspective, he could give himself the same loan. He can loan himself millions of dollars right now. But why would he do that when the banks are offering, little to no interest on a 30-year loan? Why would he take his own money? We could take the bank's money because of the millions of dollars he himself personally has paid in taxes. My point is this. There were people within the last several hours, they've gotten 3-month deferments on their utility bills. They've gotten 3-month deferments. One person had it was a $50,000 charge on their Amex card. They got it deferred for 3 months. 3 months. Because what most people are doing, ladies and gentlemen, is they're thinking like consumers. They're thinking like victims. They're thinking like they're powerless because they're not thinking ahead. And the people that win in times like these are the ones that think differently and see further. That is why when we share this opportunity every day, we're talking about the fact, nobody's talking about, like I was talking to a prospect yesterday. He's like, well, what about, are people traveling now? I'm like, I don't care if people are traveling now. That's not what this is about. People are going to travel when this is done. Do you really think that this is going to go on forever? No. Because guess what? If it did go on forever, we would all be fucked, right? So we're all in the same boat anyway if it did go on forever. So obviously there's going to be a shift and an end point. What do you think is going to happen when people that have been wanting to get out of the house, the opportunity to get out, and they can travel? They're going to be bum rushing the airports. Okay? Bum rushing it. So, Sandra, I'm glad you said that because obviously I don't know the laws in terms of the countries that you're in, but find out whatever's available, if anything at all. I don't know because I'm not, I can't speak for all the countries that are here. But his point was to think differently. And the beginning of our conversation, what happened when Jamar and I connected and worked together? It elevates him. I stay elevated because I stay plugged into Holton. I stay elevated because I stay plugged into, the other diamonds and blue diamonds that are in our company. Like, I'm staying plugged into that thinking. I very rarely miss one of the diamonds presenting every day. Like, at some point I'm gonna get on. Sometimes I'm doing my own stuff, but I'm gonna watch a diamond present at least once every day because it helps me to stay plugged into their thinking, because they're at a higher level than I am. But that keeps me high. So when I'm talking to prospects, you can't move me with your negativity. You can't move me with your doom and gloom, because I know where I'm going. So here's the thing about leadership. First of all, I've never had a CEO get on a call and talk about the ways that we can protect ourselves beyond iBoomerang, beyond the company. Like he was really focusing on teaching us how to think, how wealthy people think, especially in difficult times, how wealthy people seize and create greater opportunity in difficult times. It was a higher level thought conversation that in my 10 years, I have never met a CEO that had a conversation like that. I ain't never heard of nothing like that before, ever. So, hey, handsome. How you doing, man? So that's something that is ridiculous about what we have in iBoomerang in terms of leadership. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. And if you think that where you are right now has anything to do with where you're going, you'll never get there. If you think that where you are right now has anything to do with where you're going, you will never get there. Leadership is about vision. It has to be greater and more profound than your current circumstance. You cannot allow your circumstances to become your conclusion. You cannot be in a space of fear or lack, self-imposed limitations. That is not what's going to rule the day. People are looking for strength, clarity, reason, and opportunity. And so the gentleman that I was talking to, he's asking me about, the people traveling. I'm like, bro, what other options do you have right now? You're a very successful physical trainer. How are you going to make money beyond that? And your client roster is cut down. He works at Lifetime Fitness, so we have a membership there. I just read about an hour ago, the CEO of Lifetime Fitness is going to have to furlough 90% of the workforce if this continues for another few weeks. 90%. So I'm saying to him, I consider him a friend, but I'm talking to him like a prospect. I'm like, bro, you ain't got no options. Like, you're going to have to sell and promote travel. Yeah. Like, I'm not even going to get into we're a lifestyle technology company. Look, this is an opportunity for you to get some money in your pocket. When I talk to prospects, I'm a lot more clear and lovingly firm in my communication, because we all know what's going on right now. People are panicking in terms of financially, because they're not getting paid. They're not getting paid leave. A lot of people are not getting paid leave. Some are, a lot aren't. It's estimated that somewhere between, and I don't know if these numbers are accurate or not. I just saw a ticker on one of the news outlets. It's somewhere between 20 and 37 million jobs that are going to be lost. I'm sorry, no, that's not right. 20 to 37 million filings for unemployment. That's what it was. Somewhere around there, between 20 and 37 million filings for unemployment. That means people are going to be looking for work. I did see that it's 1 million jobs that will be lost. Okay, just in this month, 1 million jobs will be lost, because there are places that are closing that will never be able to reopen again. Even if things went back to normal tomorrow, they've lost too much ground. They borrowed too much money already. They are already hanging on by a thread, right? When this happened, that's just reality of it. So we have a supply of individuals who are looking or wanting that we've never had before. Why? We've never experienced this before. That from a leadership perspective, from a business perspective, when you're in a time that no one has ever experienced before, that's an opportunity. That you talk about being in the right place at the right time and the right business opportunity, everything lining up, things that are beyond our control that we couldn't predict or anticipate. Like that's a no-brainer. in terms of our timing on it, in terms of our talent pool, in terms of what we have. So the positioning that we're in, right now is it's this will never happen again. Like, even if we have another challenging, it's not like we have another challenge, which we will. You're looking at, thank you. We're looking at 5, 10 years, whatever that is. But in terms of how things are positioned right now, you will think about this. When will you ever be able to pick up the phone and talk to anybody in the world and they're all going to be on the same page? Think about that. When will you ever be able to pick up the phone about your opportunity? You can talk to anybody in the world and everybody's on the same page. Every single prospect that I talked to today, hey, how's your family dealing with the situation? How are you doing? Has your income been impacted by it? I'm asking the exact same thing to every single person because everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's in the same boat. That's what you call instant rapport. And now we have the ability to throw lifelines to people to create some income. Whatever your story is, share it. Some of you are getting paid 5 times a month. You're getting paid 5 times a month right now. That's your reality. Share that story. People need to hear it, and you're doing it from home. So this is the power of what we have. It's just a different vibrational level. And for those of you that are Sapphire, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you that are working towards that, fantastic. But I had to share that with you all. I can't share everything that we talked about on the call, but I can just tell you that from a leadership standpoint, what we're doing with the Boom TV, morning inspiration, evening training call, like we have so much content for every single TSA to plug into for guidance and hope and method and strategy and inspiration. It's unreal. Never seen anything like this before in my life, ever. And that's where we're at. Like, some of you are going to be able to have deferments on things for the next 3 months, and you can stack your cash during that same time period. You can stack cash and just really focus on blowing your business out, really focus on continuing to do the work you're doing for those of you that are still working. But you have relief, and it's yours. You paid into it. So I just had to reiterate some of the highlights of that conversation. I am going to be, I'll send out a text message for a lot of you, because my phone, I updated the software and now it's sending out text messages in the groups at different times of the day and night. I don't know, those software updates are, they're a hot mess. So I'm just going to keep all the communication within the Accelerate group. So I will give everybody here an opportunity. If you want to be added to the Accelerate group, it's a group of individuals that are focused on building hot and heavy until May 31st. Is that right? Yeah, April, May. So we're all going hot and heavy until May 31st because people have rank goals, income goals, and all of that. But think about this. This is a question that Mr. Bugs asked of all of us. He said, what could you do if you could go back and do some things differently from the start of your iBoomerang business? Like, what would you do differently to be better positioned right now? If you could go back to the start of your iBoomerang business, what are some things you could do differently to be better positioned right now? So that, again, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And all of us are building on that foundation of 36 months. So the first marker is 18 months, then 36 months. And some of us are going to be in a situation where we have a lot more income coming in every month and going out at the 18th month mark. It might be sooner. And then some of us are going to hit it at the 36 month mark. And then some of us are going to hit it at the 5-year mark. It doesn't matter to me, okay? The time frame is the time frame, 18 to 36 months to 5 years. What we're doing here, what you can accomplish, you're still not going to be able to do in most jobs in 40 years working a straight 40 to 50 plus. We know this. But there's something about this timing right now where we can do some things exponentially in terms of our growth and our impact. I just feel in my gut that the numbers we can produce and create will be unlike anything that we've even thought possible, because of where we're at. It's about getting people an opportunity. It's about your leadership. If they can plug into you and you can plug them into the leaders that we have in iBoomerang, the Diamonds and the Blue Diamonds and Edwin Haynes and Holton Bugs, I mean, it's a lot of people would cherish that exposure, that connection, and we have that. So thanks for jumping on. I know it was a last minute call. I know many of you have a lot of moving pieces in your life right now, but I just want you all to be encouraged, and I want to remind you the importance of doing the internal work every single day. Do the internal work every single day. Keep working on yourself, and that's going to show up in how you promote and share your opportunity with people. People need to follow strength. They want people who are positive, who have integrity, who got character. They need to plug into that. And there's so many of you here that have all the intangibles. Many of you here that I know I've spent great time with. And I know that people deserve to be in your presence. They deserve to be under your guidance and your tutelage. They deserve to have your mentorship. And you not being out there, you're being selfish. You're being selfish. If you're not actively putting yourself in a space where you can mentor people, you're being selfish. There are people that need to hear your voice that only you can reach. I can't reach them. Only you can reach them. But it's our responsibility to put ourselves out there every day to give people the opportunity. Cannot tell you how many people I've ended up mentoring because I cold called them. I cold called them. I ended up becoming their mentor, not because that's what I was looking to do, but because they recognize there's some things I can help them with, whether they want to join my business or not. We're here to be of service. We're here to be of value. We're here to add value. So I'm off my soapbox. That's my iBoomerang leadership soapbox. Thanks for letting me rant and rave. I appreciate you all so much. Have an awesome and amazing rest of your thriving Thursday. I'll post the schedule for the presentations today. And again, it's 4 presentations a week with 5 prospects on each one. So you get in front of 20 people a week. It's 2 enrollments a month, and 2 to 3 people register for the next event, which is not until late August. That's going to be Vision in Las Vegas. Much love, you all. Let's go. Boom.